It's notifying me that we are live. And I believe we are. I'm gonna check YouTube. Hi guys. So bear with me for a few seconds. We're over the first 2 minutes of a live stream. As always, we are live. Yay! So what I'm gonna do now is I will share this link. Go ahead into my Instagram page if you are watching right now, and from the Instagram. You can go directly right here in the story live stream. So yay! How's everybody doing today? We're doing great. Getting set up and ready to go. Before we actually start our podcast. Those of you who don't know, today I have Richard Campbell. He's a composer, producer, songwriter, and automated creative. One of the people that I admire from afar from social media. And soon going live right here on YouTube. And later, I will be creating podcast files and posting them on my website. If you guys don't know, we are also on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and Castbox. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, you can just look up Peter Bermanko Musician today and you will find me, my podcast, some of my music on there as well. Alright, so we are good. We are live streaming.
Yay.
Yay. Thank you, Richard, for joining us today. We'll have an introduction in just a bit. And then I'm going to introduce you officially to our fans.
Cool.
If I say something wrong, I apologize, guys. I'm having like the longest week of my life. Between Bollywood weddings and students and whatever funerals in the morning. Gotta do it all, right? As it comes out. Okay, so let me just adjust my screen here. And I'm pretty sure they can hear us too. Oh, yeah, I can actually let me send you a link so you can see that we are live. You can... Yeah, there you go. Paste. Got it. Now you can see too that we are like, yay! Those are my curtains. Okay, awesome. So the way this app works, it basically shows your screen. So whatever you're doing on the screen, like if I show them my video screen, right? You will see what's on there. Yeah. I'm going to upgrade very soon, guys. I'm going to download an OBS system, which will allow me to not only do this, but also stream on Facebook and share screen with my guests so they can see your beautiful faces.
Without the red nose.
Yes. That's okay. We can leave the red nose at home. Okay. Well, 3 more minutes. Yeah, maybe we can start on the introduction. Yeah, I think we could start because I'm gonna play a little intro sound there.
Cool.
Okay, are we ready?
You are listening to Musician Today's weekly podcast from Peter Bermanko. Tune in for your insight into a professional musician's life and awesome new music.
Alright. Hello everybody. How are you guys doing today? Oop. Okay. Interesting enough, now is when I have to change my battery.
Oh, no.
No worries, it'll take 2 seconds. I'm ready for this. I was born ready for this. So there we go, 2 of them. Hang on, bear with me guys for a second. We only did like a playback introduction and there we go. Now, good thing you let me know right away, eh? This means this is gonna be an epic podcast. You guys are gonna love it because things go wrong before they go right. And okay, give it a second. All right, sorry, Richard. Technical difficulties, guys. All right. Yeah, countdown. Play a tune. Play a tune. I wonder why. Okay. Now it's on. Now it's recording. I'm gonna give it a little time to tune in. Loading. And we are recording. Yay! Okay.
Okay.
So, thank you guys. Thanks for bearing with me there for a second. Today, we have an amazing guest on Musician Today. We have someone who is a composer, producer, and songwriter. He is an award-winning composer, producer, and artist director with biggest passion on film score. He was recently named the second prize winner for an international scoring competition held by Megaron, Athens Concert Hall Association in Greece. The subject was a short animated film, and Richard got a second place. Congratulations. You can get the links in our description above and listen to all of his music. Then he has been described as having music dripping from his fingers and has the ability to play and arrange for a range of instruments by ear. He has spent the last few years immersed in music, theater, and the performing arts, providing musical direction, arranging and composing both locally and internationally. And I'm so happy and proud to present to you guys Richard Campbell. Yay! So thank you for joining us today, Richard. So happy to have you. How are you doing?
Not bad yourself.
I'm good, thank you. I'm so happy we're over the technical difficulties.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's not gonna stand in our way because we are here to discuss music and music business and our journeys through this whole musical adventure. All right, so Richard's music has always been biggest passion for him, and he has immersed himself in the genre in film. And that's something I heard is quite new in your life that you're really passionate about.
Absolutely.
Excellent. So recognizing that we live in the increasingly visual and online world, Richard has turned his attention to providing easily accessible soundtracks that add the emotive heart to online visual media. He has composed for short films, theater segments, and his own visual projects. He is inviting interest from those who are looking for music that brings their visual media to life and looking for either an original soundtrack or beats or anything that you guys need for your creative projects. Richard is the guy to turn to. So they call you the Starmaker for that reason, I guess.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Amazing. So you guys, before we go on, you can find Richard on LinkedIn as Richard Campbell, on Vimeo as RC Starmaker, on Lander, on SoundCloud as RC Starmaker, on Skio Music as Richard Campbell, on Facebook as RC Starmaker, on Instagram as RC Starmaker. That's how we met, through Instagram, and on YouTube as CCAMBO. So, all right. So tell us, Richard, first thing I guess we'd like to know is, how did you start on this path of composing? When did it all begin? When did you feel that that's what you were meant to do for life?
Well, it actually started in my studies. I made the choice to actually study music as a major.
Nice.
And I think it was in my second or third year that I started sketching out a few of my own ideas, and I started showing them to my lecturers just to get some feedback. But I think the key for me, though, I don't know if you know the film We Were Soldiers, with Mel Gibson.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Well, there was a scene in there. It always brings me to tears because the music just hits me right up there.
That's amazing.
I think the first time I saw that, I knew that's what I wanted to try and do, is to make people feel the same way.
Well, that's fantastic. You know, all the composers that I've read about and that I've interviewed in person in my life, they say the same thing. You have to make it feel something for you. So, like, if your music moves you, then it will move others, right? If you're doing it just trying to impress someone, that's not gonna work. Actually, in words of Tom Hulkenberg, He said, if it makes you feel something, then that's worth pursuing.
I heard say that as well.
Amazing. So, why don't we, guys, for introduction, play a couple of Richard's songs, and then we can talk about how they came to life. All right. Here is Lender Bit, Toyota Coaching Project, and you'll hear it in a second. It's a kind of real, like, pick me up tune, like makes you want to get going and tackle your day. So it says Toyota in it. Was it like a commercial project?
This was actually for a corporate project for an online portal. Now, because of that, I could only showcase the audio. I couldn't really showcase the video without sharing a private link with someone.
All right.
Because, at the end of the day, it belongs to them.
Okay.
No, this was a fun one to do because I prefer to compose two visuals.
Yes.
And allow them to go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So when you're telling a story, whether it's visual or sonic, it's easier to connect, right? When you have a visual, you have a better idea of what the music should be saying then, right? I find the same true for me as well. Like if I have a picture in my head, then the music just flows naturally. Amazing. So how would you say, did you approach this process? Like where did this track begin and how did it evolve?
Well, funnily enough, this track that you heard now ended up being the second take.
Mm-hmm.
This one didn't work out as well as it should have. But that feedback was very valuable because then what you heard now was the final product.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because I had to score to a video with no dialogue, you basically have to tell the story with your view. So you could probably hear a little hints imagery, like a little pouncing or that low trombone sound at you, as if you're sagging your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
yeah,
love the
this was
bass.
pretty much a step-by-step a process. Normally, I just I sketch out a basic idea first, and then I just try all kinds of combinations and see what works and what doesn't. But if all else fails, I let visual get themselves.
That's amazing.
But,
Very cool. I love the bass line in this. That was a real catchy one. Did you play all these instruments yourself?
If you count playing a keyboard controller, playing it all by myself. I also used a few royalty-free loops at some places, like especially with the drums and percussion. I don't knock drum loops; they can be quite a lifesaver sometimes. But yeah, pretty much I played as through my keyboard anyway. So
that's amazing. So the bass was played on the keyboard as well.
it was, yeah.
It sounds so realistic.
Well, this is where sample libraries become quite handy. And you know how they are now. They're just improving all the time.
Oh yes, absolutely. That's the same for my album. Jacob, my producer, and I, he's always upgrading some things and finding new sounds. And he's like, listen to this. It just sounds like a real bass, a real guitar. It's amazing. So yeah, definitely. Technology has allowed us to grow over the past few years, right? So my next question actually is, so how did you start out in the production, and what was the first piece of equipment that you had, and how did your studio evolve since?
Oh wow!
Yeah, I know it's a big question, but let's just see where it goes.
Well, let's see if I can actually remember it at first. I suppose where to really start is my old MacBook not that actually, an old Windows computer, and a small Korg and Anarchy controller that I bought, and my first copy of Surveillance.
Oh yeah, I still have that. I have Sibelius 7.
Well, my first copy was Sibelius 3.
Oh wow, my first one was 5.
Yeah, that goes a while back.
Yeah.
And this is when I was slowly entering the market as an arranger and an orchestrator. Because that if anything, that's what I'm doing the most these days is arranging.
That's amazing. Very good.
But yeah, I think a few years after that, I got my first MacBook. And I started doing some voiceover work, which was quite fun.
Nice.
And yeah, then what I did then, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. I decided I had enough in my savings to invest in some proper equipment. So pretty much in the course of 2 or 3 days, I bought my current MacBook. I bought myself 2 controllers, and a new keyboard, which I had to replace when my old one got stolen out of my car.
Oh no!
It was missing a key anyway, so yeah.
Okay, so it was like a sign from the universe that you had to upgrade. Is that right?
Yeah. But now, because of now the studio I have at the moment, it's allowed me to really play with and manipulate sounds more intimately, and create my own soundscapes and my own synthesizer patches. But now, slowly but surely, I'm starting to integrate actual synthesizers
Fantastic.
into my.
So I have a song here, Lacrimosa. Was that created on your own soundscape?
No, actually, that one. What I did is that I've recently started digging into the East-West library. and that was the first track that I actually started experimenting with those.
Oh,
I mean,
amazing.
that is more straightforward orchestral cinematic. So when it comes to a genre like a chiptune or 80s electronic, then you'll start hearing a few original patches.
Amazing. Okay. Well, why don't we have a listen to Lacrimosa and see the great difference between different projects that you have done? Mm-hmm.
Cool. Yeah.
Wow, love it. That's definitely in my favorite genre
Thank you.
area. It could be cinematic, it could be turned into metal, it could accompany a huge blockbuster. I can definitely see it there. That's one of my favorite things. Like the people that I follow, like Tom Hulkenberg, like Hans Zimmer, yeah, those are the biggest definitely film composers that inspired me in the past. Speaking of which, who would you say was your biggest inspiration, and who's the composer that you really connect with on that level?
That would be the late Jerry Goldsmith.
Which one?
Uh, Jerry Goldsmith.
Oh, perfect. Nice.
I've always admired his own style.
Amazing. So do you notice how his music has influenced yours? Like, do we hear some of it in there, or maybe it's there but we hear it differently?
Well, there are times when I tend to repeat a few themes. Obviously not exactly the same. And he used to do that with a lot of his scores, create a theme and variations
Nice.
of sort. But yeah, the lesson I took from that is that you don't have to write a complex a symphony in order to complement the film. You know, sometimes just a single eerie sound would be enough. And sometimes absolute silence also
Yes.
enough.
That's right. That's true. So you have to give your score time to breathe between the complex elements. Absolutely. Totally agree with that. That's amazing. So he's kind of like the Bach, I guess, because if you quoted it and he quoted someone, and it's like, it makes me think of Bach, Beethoven, and Sofia Gubajdulina. They all quoted each other.
Yeah.
That's one of my classical 20th century inspirations. And I think I've discovered her work also when I was at school, and my professor recommended that I check her out. And I especially love those, ethnic elements combined with mysticism and orchestral writing. Definitely, that's the best thing. Okay, so why don't we have a listen to one more amazing song by Richard, so we can hear one more different style of music that he's worked with. So this one is Lander Beam Low Worm. Is that the full title? Is that right?
It's only called being. I'm sorry about that.
Being.
That's just
Okay, got it.
So
So that's the single that has had great success, right?
if you count out plays to great success.
Why not? Absolutely. So we'll have a listen to it. Ready, guys?
I hear my own voice, awake or asleep, in life or in dreams, in my own reality. Its sound is never quite as it seems. I see my own light dancing away, and I'm chasing behind, but I'm drawn to its other side, where imagination and life collide, and the spark this ignites takes me
awesome song. And is that you singing in it?
It is.
Sounds great. It makes me think, of some of those 90s romantic movies.
Yeah. Honestly, that's not what I had in mind when I was putting it together. I basically worked out a corporate version, and then I took it from there. Essentially.
So would you say some of those synthetic sounds are more of a recent sound?
Yes.
Excellent. Excellent.
That's where I put my new Roland JDXI to good use. For a little machine, it packs quite a lot of power.
Excellent. Sounds fantastic. Thank you. All right. So while we're on the topic of technology and everything else, how do you actually go about getting jobs? So that's something that I bet most of us have a question about. Like, how do you put yourself out there to get hired by other projects, by other companies, by producers, by whoever, right? What would be your strategy?
Well, at this point, what I'm doing now is I am networking and connecting like crazy.
Absolutely, yeah.
And at the same time, building my portfolio so that it gets to a point where my music can basically speak for itself. But I think
branding yourself, right? Great.
Yeah. But if there's one thing I can still work on my side, it's the way that I can market myself.
Mm-hmm.
So a lesson I learned is that people prefer to hear the music itself. The music, it tends to speak more than the composer does.
Exactly.
I've been meeting with producers. I've been meeting with artists. It's all good, sending out emails and Skyping.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing will beat the face-to-face conversation.
Absolutely. I feel like that's the reason I started this podcast. I wanted to reach out to people like you, people like we've already had on here, for business advice, for musical experience, to see how they've established their brand, how they've built what they've built, how they go about their process, and just really build a community from there. So networking and face-to-face is like nothing else.
Yeah.
I completely agree with it. It's about creating a community. It's about creating a support system for each other as artists. And by the way, guys, if you don't know, Richard was one of the contributors to our campaign for our album, Iron Fiddle. So thank you so much for jumping on board. You'll be getting your album as soon as it goes live.
Awesome.
Thank you. So, once we figured out how to network and connect, one thing kind of leads to another, and then you'll see the growth, right? You'll see where you're at. It kind of becomes a second nature. So like, hey, you connect with this person, connect with that person, they connect you with someone else, and you never know what comes out of it. Could be a huge project that you're really happy about.
And that is, it's something about me that I am still building.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been good at interacting with people, but I know that if I'm going to branch out on my own, I'll be able to sell myself and to do it well.
Absolutely.
So that is a work in progress.
Well, I think it's a work in progress for all of us too. I was afraid of social media just a couple of years ago. And then I realized what a great way it is to really connect with people and have that real conversation and ask the real questions, right? And you never know until you actually overcome your fears, guys, and step out of that comfort zone and just step into the, try to swim on the other bank of that river of your fears. And once you've made it, you'll be like, hey, it wasn't so bad. I'm so amazed at how all these fantastic people, including you, Richard, agreed to come in and just, discuss their experience and share their music with me. With all of us. So thank you so much for being here. So now, we don't just get serious on our show, we also play games and have fun. So what I would like to do now is there's a little segment we do at the end of our interview. It's basically a rapid fire, but we call it boo or woohoo. So within 1 minute, I'm going to ask you 10 random questions. Some of them will be relevant, some of them will be silly. So what I'd like you to do is basically give us an answer within that minute on 10 questions as fast as you can. So say the first thing that comes to your mind. Make sense?
No.
Okay, and we do have an epic countdown. You might not be able to hear it, but we will hear it. So we also have an epic countdown, 60 seconds before we time out. So let's test it out right now. I'm going to click the track and you tell me if you can hear my voice while it plays. Can you hear my voice? Can you hear my question? Yes, you get excellent. All right, so we can play. Woohoo! I never know, guys, because we have guests overseas and sometimes connection just does not allow us to fit everything in. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna ask the 10 questions and you try to answer just as quickly as possible. Okay? Are you up for the game? Yes?
Yep.
Okay, let's do this. You guys ready? 3, 2, 1. Which composer has influenced your music the most?
Sorry, that one I can't hear.
Oh, okay, alright. So what we'll do is I will just count without the track.
Okay, cool.
Ready? And which composer has influenced your music the most?
Cherry Goldsmith.
Alright. At what age did you begin your music studies?
Age 8, I think.
Excellent. Which sound do you prefer, electric or acoustic?
A bit of both.
Alright. What motivates you? In like one word.
Success.
Great. Which YouTuber do you watch and just can't stop watching?
Epic rap battles of history.
Alright. What's your favorite song to cover? Name 3.
A song to cover? Oh well. Any song from Evita. That's a roll over Beethoven. That's a very yeah.
Alright. Okay, one more, yes?
Yeah.
Name 3 people you admire.
Nelson Mandela, my very beautiful mother, and who else? Oh, and Hans Zimmer.
Okay, dogs or cats?
Cats.
Alright, name 3 musicians you follow on Instagram. Quick!
Vera Vermenko, David Foster, and Mark.
Alright, we timed out, but no worries. We got all the answers. Ooh, okay, great job. Thank you for playing, Richard. So I hope this was insightful for you guys as much as it was for me. And thank you so much, Richard, for coming over tonight. And we will be sharing replays soon with you guys. But before we let you go, we would like to know what would you say to a young composer, young artist who is trying to get into the industry today? What would be your one kind of more important advice that you would sort of leave us with?
I suppose at the end of the day, if you feel like that is what you really want to do, if that is your dream, then chase it. You're going to struggle,
Yes.
but at the end of the day, you will feel whole with what you accomplish.
Absolutely, I completely agree. Well, thank you so much, Richard. Again, guys, you can find Richard on LinkedIn as RC Starmaker, or no, Richard Campbell. Then you can find him on Vimeo as RC Starmaker, Lander on SoundCloud as RC Starmaker, and all the other platforms: Facebook RC Starmaker, Instagram RC Starmaker, and YouTube as CCCAMBO. Have a listen to his wonderful music. Connect, interact. He's a really great person to speak with. And now we are excited to see you in a couple months, right? We like to invite our guests back to get a little update. Maybe there's an interesting project you worked on and you would like to share it with us. That'll be amazing.
Yeah.
So I'll be in touch with you and look forward to it. So we will see you then. Have a great week and thank you.
I'll see you then.
Eurovermenka.com/music. See you next time.